people of YouTube, my name is Steve Gray and thank you for watching. Today we're going to be talking about Demon Slayer Season 2, Episode 5. Yes, we did get an episode. No, there is not a break for the new year because it did not land on the new year. It landed on the 2nd, which is today, the same day I am recording this. So, hooray, we get to actually see Demon Slayer. Get to actually watch a show this week. And decent episode overall. So we kind of start off with Daki fighting Tanjiro. They're going back and forth, and Tanjiro realizing that his water form is actually not compatible with him. His sword is all nicked up, dinged, and doled. Daki even mentions this and saying, that must have been made by an inferior craftsman. And the reality is, it wasn't made by an inferior craftsman. It was made that way because Tanjiro cannot fully master the water breathing technique. And he also cannot currently master the sun breathing technique either. His Kagura, Himogari Kagura, probably butchering that, but he is unable to master that as well. So they're duking it out. The sword's getting duller. He's actually able to use the technique a little bit more and actually keep up with an upper rank, which is surprising with his breathing. A couple instances where you think he's going to die, but then nope, he's good to go. Uses his breathing technique. We also learn that when he actually gets a fever, he can use the technique more often. So when his body temperature is actually hotter, he can, use that technique more often. He's actually more powerful and stronger. He actually begs one of the maids at the mansion to not mention anything because he has a fever, because he thinks the fever will help him out in the long run. And that just might be his internal body temperature rising to accommodate his techniques. It's a possibility. We don't fully know. Maybe that's why his dad died, because obviously when you have a fever, it destroys things in your system, and having a constant fever over years and years and years eventually will lead you to die young, unfortunately. At least that's my kind of guess. Not really sure. Meanwhile, while that's happening, we have Inosuke running around trying to find the demon. He's actually able to sniff it out and find a hole in one of the houses. At which point he tries to jump in, but his head gets stuck, and he was like, well, for another demon slayer, this might be hard to get into, but for me, I can dislocate all my joints, and as long as my head fits, I can fit. So he creepily dislocates all of his joints, slams down through the tunnel, and locates this giant meat locker. And yes, I'm going to call it a meat locker. There's human skeletons and bones all over the ground. It's like this giant hollow divot in the ground. You see the belt straps all over the place that Daki is using. You see a bunch of people trapped in there, including Zenitsu, 2 of Tengen's wives. We'll get back to them in a minute. And he just goes up in there, and the belt apparently has its own consciousness. Either that, or she can talk. Put multiple faces on it. The belt. It looks like this giant, wiggly, creepy worm thing, and it's attacking Inosuke. And really, nothing this belt can do. It's not the main body, so it's not very powerful. Inosuke is able to defeat it fairly easily. Fighting it back and forth, and then it realizes, oh, well, he's here to defend all the humans. So if I start devouring all the humans, then he's going to just kind of, run himself into a corner where he is not going to have the energy to fight me anymore. And that's ultimately what happens, is he just keeps up with it as long as he can. He actually frees 2 of Tengen's wives, Suma and Mako, I believe, and they are shinobi, so they are actually able to help fight this thing off a little bit too with a couple of kunai. They're able to slash through it. I think it's because it's not part of the main body, so that would make sense. It's a lot weaker than the main body, being distant. We don't know how far away Daki is from this thing, so they're all able to fight it. And then here comes Tengen, literally pounding through the roof. So he's able to use his hearing ability to actually pound through the ground from up top and locate it and free everybody, including Zenitsu. Zenitsu, being knocked out, is able to use his Thunderclap first form, free a lot of people as well, and pretty much everybody is free at this point in time. And Tanjiro is by himself, so this is getting really bad. Tanjiro is fighting the upper rank 6 by himself, and all of these guys are trying to fight a belt. I think what's probably going to happen is she is going to just leave Tanjiro alone, or she's just going to try to, kill Tanjiro fairly quickly, and then go after Tengen, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, and all of her trapped people, because that's her food. That's her power up. We don't know how many people she actually trapped. There's a minimum of like 6. I think there's a lot more than 6 trapped in there. Probably 7, including the one that Tanjiro freed. But it's kind of messed up. They can just store them there, and then she can eat them as she sees fits. And there's literally thousands of dead corpses in this giant death pit. So that's kind of terrifying. So who knows how long she's been doing this? Probably for close to 1,000 years. Yeah, Tanjiro is in a bit of a pickle right now. So I'm hoping he's either able to defeat her by himself, or Tengen, fairly quickly defeats the belt and then goes after Tanjiro, trying to help and save him. We learn a little bit of the backstory about Tengen's wives. Apparently, when you are a shinobi, you get granted 3 wives when you graduate from the master class or whatever. I guess, there's probably a high death rate, so it makes sense to give them 3 wives. They mentioned that the women are significantly weaker than the men, so there's probably a higher probability rate that a couple of them, 1 or 2 of them, will die, and then, he's only left with 1 wife, because you have to have more people to make the clan stronger. Things along those lines. And we learn that he puts his 3 wives first, which is like the opposite of what they're told. They're told to, put their husband first. And he actually puts himself third. He says, put your 3 lives first, then put, law-abiding citizens, and then put my life. So he's number 3. So he actually has his own rules, because he obviously wants to protect his family, protect his 3 wives. And that makes sense. At the end of it, we get to see a little bit of them kind of explaining that. Him explaining to Zenitsu that, hey, you could do it too. And then Zenitsu's like, oh, cool. And he was like, oh, now I need to go tell Nezuko that that's your plan. And he was like, no, don't tell Nezuko. She doesn't need to know that. Because we all know Zenitsu loves Nezuko. Which we haven't really seen her a lot this season so far. I don't know why. Maybe, at the end of last season, she kind of developed her blood art, so you would think that she would become a valuable asset and be able to whoop some demon butt. But she's just been kind of chilling in the box. We get to see her pop up once in a great while, but who knows? Maybe she will help Tanjiro. That's a possibility, too, next episode, that Tanjiro's going to get himself in a spot where he might die, as Tengen, Inosuke, and Zenitsu are off defeating the belt thing. And then here comes Nezuko to the rescue, beating the crap out of the, upper 6. But we'll just have to sit back, wait, and see how that whole situation pans out. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Just because, I feel like we don't need the backstory with the wives. They're not super important to the storyline whatsoever. To some people, they'll say they are, but at the same time, it's not really what it's about. Nobody really cares that at this point anymore that Tengen has 3 wives. We don't really need a full backstory, maybe a little bit. We knew that they were all Kunoichi, so they were halfway decent fighters at the very least. Yeah, but it's interesting to see. What I think, as I said, what I think is probably going to end up happening next episode is Belt is going to get defeated. All the people are going to get freed. And then once that happens, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Tengen are all going to come to the rescue and help out Tanjiro. And we don't really know the full power of Daki yet. Which is the upper 6. Basically, every attack that Tanjiro throws at her, he has that little thread where he sees a little thread able to kill the demon, but she just keeps changing it. She is way quicker, faster, and stronger than Tanjiro, and Tanjiro does not have what it takes at this point in time to defeat her by himself. So he's definitely going to need some help. If not from Nezuko, then obviously help from one of the other 3. Or maybe one of the wives shows up, helps out. I don't see the wives being super useful against the actual real body of the demon. So they might just be helping all the people, get back to where they need to go. The 3rd wife of Tengen, which I forgot to mention, she actually poisoned herself, or was poisoned, something along those lines, but got the antidote. And then he said, run away, get out of here. You're done, basically. I'm not putting you in harm anymore. Get out of here. So yeah, all 3 of Tengen's wives are alive, so that's checked off on the list. He is good to go. they are all good to go for the foreseeable future. You can go back to your giant harem. Thought that would be kind of funny. But yeah, I think that's where we're just going to end it. My name is Steve Gray. Thank you for watching. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, leave a like. Feel free to comment down below what you want to see for future anime and cartoon related videos. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.